Hello, everyone. So simply be without any effort. Be and let be. Not in time. Not in the past. Not in the future. Without any need.
Could you speak louder?
Without any need to know what you are. Allow whatever thoughts appear to you to appear in their complete freedom, which is the freedom of the Creator. Allow yourself to sink deeper and deeper into not knowing, into presence. Being, presence, reality is not about any self-gain. It's not about any personal attainment. Because personal gain and personal attainment are a myth. the myth of being a separate person. Reality is one. We are that love. We are that reality. Indivisible and undivided. When you are feeling unloved and unheard, what is hidden behind such a feeling? Is your love to hear others? And your desire to love unconditionally? Because the obstacle to being heard and being loved is your resistance to loving unconditionally. And hearing others non-judgmentally. The mind flips it around and finds a problem out there. But in this moment of peace and tranquility, in a moment of presence, without referring to the past or the future, everything is perfect and complete as it is. Because there is no time for your thinking. There is no time for your narrative. You feel unheard, because you're resisting your complete hearing. You're resisting your unconditional openness. Separating yourself from the totality. and placing conditions upon none else but yourself. For what godly purpose do you want to be loved and heard? For what divine purpose do you walk around with a begging bowl, asking to be heard and to be loved? You overlook that you are the love, because love means non-separation, non-duality, not two. As soon as you separate yourself, the world of conditions appears in your mind. The world of judgments appears to you. Personal desires appear to you seeking fulfillment. Fulfillment from a source outside of yourself. Your mind projects problems, issues, projects various people that are doing you wrong. A myriad of personal rules arise within your mind. Sometimes like a labyrinth. Conditions about how others should act and should be, but how the world should appear to you. The root cause of your feeling unloved and unheard is your belief that you are somebody that should be loved and heard, that you are somebody. Because the mind has not yet been blessed by presence, by consciousness, by God's reality. It still wanders in the antechamber of me and mine, him and her. How about we open our heart to everyone and everything, rather than building gates. How about we open all the doors and windows? Because all those gates are artificial. Our true heart has no borders, has no focus. It's like the sunshine shines on everything equally. How about we do our best to hear others rather than be concerned about feeling unheard. To dive deeper and deeper into this open listening. Listening that has no conditions. Listening that has no end. Has no objective. Listening that is not seeking anything. A listening that has no personal listener, dressed in a certain outfit, with their own conditions. Because whatever we're trying to protect is a ghost. We live preoccupied about the ghost. We imagine ourselves to be somebody twisting and turning, can't pin it down. To constantly prop up this personal character, to maintain it, to safeguard it, to baby it, to protect it. What an exhausting task. Can we relax, release, trust God, trust truth, trust the universe, how it's manifesting, not trying to protect anything. It's just doing what it does. Birth, death, transformations, creation, cessation. With the understanding that that which is cannot not be. Being, I am, cannot not be. Being does not come into being and out of being. There's no opposite to being. No such thing as non-being. That understanding about I, about reality, the reality which perceives right now, effortlessly. Perceives all sorts of forms and shapes and shades and colors without being anything, without being defined by that which it creates and perceives. That you are not defined by your perceptions and your creations. Nothing defines you but your very self. Consciousness defines itself, is its own reality, refers to itself. You can unclutch your hands, let go. Take God's hand and forget. Because when you take God's hand, God takes you in her arms. Try it. Take life lightly. It's your playground, but it's also your laboratory where you can explore what is my reality, what is the reality of that which I perceive, what is the reality of the world, what is the reality of the mind, what is the reality of I. Ultimately, where does the buck stops? Take a look at your own direct experience. and notice that you are the invisible presence. You are not that which you perceive. You are not that which you feel. You are the reality which perceives perceptions, perceives sensations and feelings. You can rest with the understanding that God loves you and hears you. Because if you are seeking to be loved and to be heard, by people, by others, who are impermanent, of what value is this love which is impermanent? Why don't you choose permanent love? Discover what that is. I say God's love, but I don't mean some God out there behind the clouds or in the sky. To discover what is this love that you are truly seeking, not the impermanent one, but the permanent love. What is this love? If not feeling and experiencing and knowing wholeness, non-dual being, not two, like the mother and her baby, not two. That is the true love, is the not two. What is it in your experience, your direct experience, which is not two, which is non-dual? Okay, so if you have any questions, anything that you would like to discuss or explore, make sure you unmute your mic, and down in the lower part of your screen, there is an icon that says reactions. You can also raise your hand by using the reactions button. So any questions? Hi, Chris. Actually, I think you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh,
Hi,
okay.
Magdi.
Yes, hello, Chris.
Nice to be here. It was a beautiful meditation, and the visualization of taking God's hands really was touching. And I also am weighing that with this metaphor of the moth to the flame, you know? So in some ways, God seems a little more like a kidnapper. I would just I'd love to hear you just, your thoughts and what that brings up.
That which is cannot not be. So whatever dies in the flame cannot be that which is. In a way, the flame is every moment, whatever arises dies in the flame. Whatever appears dies in the flame. On the level of manifestation. Manifestation is the realm of change, movement. For the new to arise, the old has to cease to be. So on the realm of the relative, the flame is always burning. But of course, the deeper meaning of the moth dying in the flame is the deeply entrenched belief and feeling that I'm somebody, that I exist, that I means consciousness. I means the reality which perceives right now. Belief that there is something continuous which is phenomenal. In fact, that which is continuous is noumenal, is consciousness. I wouldn't even say continuous, because its continuity gives the impression of time. But that which is eternal, which gives the impression of continuity, is not the image that's appearing on the screen. It is the screen itself. It is consciousness itself. That which maintains the sense of separation, the impression that there is something personal at stake, is this moth that hasn't yet died in the flame, that still wants to move its wings, wants to continue to fly, sort of takes a step towards the flame, then feels a little bit too hot. Says, well, wait a minute, maybe I'll just take another round in the rose garden or in the flower garden, butinate a little bit more. But this moth is not the reality of consciousness. The moth is an imaginary reality that's entrench itself in our thoughts, in our thinking pattern. We think about that moth all the time. What am I doing? What am I doing? It's going to happen to me. And we feel we're the moth. This moth has sort of built its web, its home in our chest, in our belly, in our cells, in our neck, in our physiology. And there's this feeling that I'm the moth, that the moth has a physical reality, has a sensory and existence. It's a real sensory existence which needs to be maintained. But if you look at the sensory realm, it's constantly shifting and changing. And when you go to it, it's closer and closer you go to it, you come out empty-handed. The only place you go where you don't come out empty-handed is consciousness. It's when you go towards consciousness, you become full of love, full of compassion, full of understanding, become full of peace and a sense of fairness and equity, and your heart it's filled with love and abundance. And when you go to a feeling, you're disappointed over and over. You find that you're trying to save someone precious, and you find that there is no one there to save it. It's this unending process of a play of mirror. Images in the brain, sensations in the body, and images about that moth in the past. Where is it going? How is it doing? Who harmed it? Who's good to the moth and who's bad to the moth? And what's happening to my tribe? But the moth cannot avoid being drawn to the flame. You cannot avoid being drawn to truth and love and beauty, and understanding and freedom and joy. There's no way. In everything you do, that's what you seek. You seek the end of desire. You seek the desireless state, which is happiness. But the price is you have to sacrifice the illusion. You have to sacrifice the moth. You have to recognize, oh, Viveka, what is it that's really real, or what is it that's a reflection of reality? That which is real is consciousness, is invisible, and the reflection of this reality, as a way of speaking, is everything that appears: world, bodies, mind, thoughts, perceptions, sensations, feelings. To be willing to first make that discrimination and sacrifice the illusion. I mean, Lila will continue, the playground, because it's creation. Consciousness is creative, God is creative. Lila will continue in its own way, but void of the thorn of ignorance, void of that constant nagging pebble or rock in your shoe, speck of dust in your eye, keep rubbing your eye, that ache in your heart. Where is the love that I see? Where is it? Void of that. This is, sooner or later, there's no way around that death, the death of the belief and the feeling of being person.
Yeah, what I'm seeing, Magdi, is my choice to identify as the moth. What I hear you saying is I'm both, the flame and the moth. Is that right?
Your choice as consciousness. It is you. You are the only chooser. There is no other chooser. The body doesn't choose. The brain doesn't choose. The thoughts don't choose. They will appeal to you. They're chosen. You are the ultimate chooser. And you as consciousness, you choose knowingly or unknowingly. Unknowingly, when you are before you had a glimpse of reality, you choose the person, you choose the identification, because you don't know otherwise, but you're choosing the identification because you are seeking happiness. You're seeking happiness in money, in position, in power, whatever. But once you have the glimpse of consciousness that you are the reality which perceives and not the body-mind which you perceive, it is the knowingness belongs to you and not to the body-mind. Once you have a glimpse of that, then that understanding, now you have a certain degree of knowingness, while previously you were unknowing, you were choosing. Yes, of course, you always are the choosing, but you are unknowing that you are the choosing. You were sort of the victim of the world, body, mind. You were victim of the events. Now you have a certain knowingness available to you that you are the chooser. You as consciousness are the chooser. So, and the choice is always in the moment. It's not in history. It's not in time. So in this moment, what do I choose myself to be? What do I assume myself to be? And you don't need to assume yourself to be anything, because being doesn't need to wear a costume. Being is. It doesn't need the lipstick and the beautiful hat with the feather. It's being is. So which are you? Are you being, this transparent awareness? Or would you rather be somebody seeking something somewhere, of course, somehow seeking something somewhere, somehow. To be somebody who's seeking something somewhere, somehow. So it's a more of a not knowing and no need to know what you are. Obviously you are, whatever that is. So can I be, which already is, without this process of searching for knowingness to define, without needing to define myself?
Like, why limit it?
Yes, any self-definition is limited.
Yeah.
The play can go on, with more flow, more fluidity in the lila, the life events, without encapsulating yourself in a certain identity. Of course, the body is what it is, the situation is what it is. There is intelligence. Intelligence is available to you. So, well, maybe this way, that way is better, this way is better. It's always in the moment that you can assess the situation. But you don't need to define yourself in any limited fashion in order to do so. You have to try it on, try that shoe on, keep trying that shoe until it feels completely comfortable.
The shoe of unknowing, you're saying.
Yes, the shoe of not knowing. Being, I know I am, and I don't know what I am, and I don't need to know what I am. All is well as it is, as amness, as being.
Yeah. That's helpful, the shoe of unknowing. I'll see how walking is in those. Thank you, Magdi.
Any questions? Any questions?
Hey, Maggie, I have a question.
Hello, Frank.
Hey, good to see everybody. When you were talking to Chris, you said something about, well, you were talking about that we are, and I've heard you say this a million times, that we are the perceiver of the body-mind, not the body-mind itself. We're noumena, and everything that's phenomena is not us. But that seems a little dualistic to me, and it almost feels like I have to separate myself from the body and almost like not have anything to do with the body except just watch it and do its thing or whatever. But
Yes.
It's a little disempowering to me.
Right.
Can you talk about that?
Sure. So there is this understanding that I am not a thing, I am not a someone, somebody, and yet I am everything and everybody. So the understanding that I am not a thing and I am not somebody is just part of the understanding. It's not the complete understanding. You are right. The other part of the understanding is I am everything and everybody. So, because I can say I am, so can you. You can say I am. My saying I am is same as you saying I am. It's the same I am. So the I am, quotes unquote, here, and the I am, quotes unquote, there, is the same I am. Let's see. So it's not I am this person or I am not this person. I am me and I am not you. You are you and you're not me. It is the same I am, which is here, there, and everywhere. It's the same I am. So I am applies to everybody. All minds resonate with I am. Because the resonance of I am is a resonance with reality, with consciousness, which is one reality. This is why we don't say that my I am and your I am are different. But we do say my body is different from your body. I'm 5'8", you may be 6'2", whatever. Yes, but we don't say the I am is different from, because the bodies are different. If you, in order to understand that I am nobody and yet I'm everybody, or I am nothing and yet I'm everything, you have to contemplate that that which perceives, which is I, and that which is perceived, which is others and the world, are not two. Your perception and you, meaning consciousness, are not separate. Because if you are separate from your perception, you won't perceive. In order to perceive, there has to be a connection. When there is a connection, then it's a oneness. So what you perceive your perception. What is your perception? Your perception is intimately within yourself. You perceive your perception, and you that perceives a perception and the perception are not apart. You're not apart by 1 inch. So everything you perceive is intimate with you, is intimate with the perceiver. So there isn't, in fact, a duality. Although we say that consciousness is not defined by any particular perception. In other words, I perceive the oak tree, but I am not the oak tree. I'm not defined by the oak tree, because the oak tree is brown, is tall, has acorns. But consciousness isn't brown, isn't tall, doesn't have acorn. It's numinal. And yet, they're not apart. Although I am not defined by that which I perceive, this does not mean that that which I perceive is separate from me. So when I say, well, I am not that which I perceive, I know that which I perceive, but that which I perceive does not know me. This does not mean separation. It does not mean duality. Because you perceive your dreams. You perceive a pink flying elephant in your dream. The big flying elephant isn't running out there, isn't flying out there on top of the Himalayas. It's one with you. It's actually you taken on the form of an elephant that's flying. So the understanding that I am not a thing and I'm not a body does not mean that there is a separation between my reality and the reality of that which I perceive. The reality of the world and the reality of minds and bodies belong to the same reality. Why? Because those realities interact. The body and the mind interact. Bodies and minds interact. If they were separate realities, who would care? They will never interact. But the body and the world, that which we perceive, that which we conceive, the mind, belong to the same reality, which is the reality of consciousness. Why do we say it's a reality of consciousness? Because we know experientially that everything changes, but there is one thing which doesn't change, which is the reality which perceives. Whatever it is, we call it reality. We know that experientially. Like the screen, whatever appears on the screen has different shapes and colors, but the screen remains unchanged. And whenever you're looking at an image, you're actually looking at the screen. So consciousness, when it's perceiving these images, is actually perceiving itself, its own creation. God creates and perceives simultaneously. So if consciousness is real, and that in consciousness does not have any borders, if consciousness is not contained, not limited, therefore your true body is the body of consciousness. Your true body and the body of consciousness, your body and the body of consciousness are the same body. That, in fact, consciousness's body is a universe.
Hey, Magdi, quick question about the body. So, because I'm having trouble with, like I was just saying, it's noumena and phenomena. I know what they mean, but and I think I heard you say the other day that basically it's the same thing. There's just different names for the same thing. It's almost like different ways of looking at the same thing. Maybe not.
Yes, because.
Because the question I was going to ask, sorry to cut in. The
Okay.
question I was going to ask, like when I look in the mirror and I see my body, I still don't have a clear sense of what my relationship to that body that I see should be from the viewpoint of consciousness. Should I look at it and say, that's not really me, or that's just, or say like, that's only a part of who I am or part of what I am, or that's just complete, that's just,
It's
is it an extension of what I am, or it's an illusion of who I am? What is the best way to that relationship is still confusing to me.
everything you perceive is you. Why decouper, how do you say in English? Why cut? Why make a cutting? Why make a cutting in out of your perception and say, and color that cutting a certain color like red or green, and everything else a different color? You say, well, oh, this is me. Everything you perceive is you. Is only one reality. You know, in the Sufis, they say, wherever my eyes fall is God. Everything I perceive is God, all is God. Well, you don't need to make a cutting. Is that the right word? A cutting, like a cutout. You don't need to make a cutout. A cutout. And say, oh, wait a minute, I'm this, I'm not that. You don't need to do that. Just don't do that. You know you are, right? I am, whatever that is, right? There's no doubt about I am. That's sufficient. It is sufficient.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
That is sufficient.
When these questions come out about the body, mind, and stuff, I just keep going back to what I know to be true, at least as far as my understanding goes. That just I am, and that's enough.
Yes, because the mind wants to say, yes, I am, but I am this and that. It wants to say what I am. And as soon as you say what I am, you enter into the chambers of the mind and in infinite verbiage and infinite confusion.
Yeah.
And the mind, which is a thoughts, stream of thoughts, cannot know cannot know the reality which perceives it. But it will attempt. It will say, well, okay, okay, Frank, yeah, I know you are, but are you this image? Are you that? Are you well? It's trying to say what you are. And it's trying to trick you into, oh, am I this or am I that? No, I am.
In the middle of making this huge decision about my life to do with retirement.
Yes.
And that's really, I'm not, it's just, that's why I'm running into all these questions, because I don't know what's going to be best for me at this point. I don't know what decision to make. And I'm like, I'm completely lost. And so all these questions are coming up because of this, what I'm going through right now. And I'm trying to use, what I'm learning here and then do non-duality to help me make the right decision. But anyway.
When it comes to retirement, it is the body mind, which is retiring. It's not consciousness.
Mm. Yeah.
So it has, it has to do with the body mind. So in terms of retirement, this is a matter of looking at, your expenses. I mean, the expenses of your body.
Yeah.
Not your expenses, not you as consciousness, because consciousness has no expenditures. It doesn't have a budget. It's infinite. It's the bank. Yeah. It's the big bank. Consciousness is the big bank. Is the casino. Is the casino. Okay, you're the casino player. The body is in the casino.
Yeah.
The client. So, in terms of retirement, then you look at what are the circumstances of this particular body mind. Where do I live? What is the mortgage? What's the rent? What's the monthly expenses? What's my overhead? What are my assets? And then you do what I did. Is I did a sort of a spreadsheet about more or less what these bodies live. They live between 80 and 90. George knows more than me about that, but anyway, so I just made a choice. I said, okay, let's say 90, whatever, 95.
Right.
Okay, so how many years are there, between 70 and 95, 25 years, what do I need? And I did a little basic math, but it's about the body,
Right.
And, what's Social Security, what's my retirement, how much did I have savings, etc.
Yeah, and I'm doing all that. I guess I just have to stay practical and do what the body mind, take care of the body mind, like you said, like you're taking care of a car, except a little more complicated, but still.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's almost like I almost want my non-duality understanding to just fix everything and come in and just do it all instead of me sitting down and doing a budget and all this and that. It's
Yeah, well, you are the intelligence, consciousness, you are the creator and the perceiver, and you manage this body, you manage all bodies, but in this particular node, you're managing this particular body, Frank, like you manage your car, exactly. So it's just strictly practical, a practical approach to a certain situation, certain particular needs for your body mind. To figure, where I want to live, a place a little bit peaceful, where, depending on what you like, So all of these, you take a look at all of that, and you put the pieces together, but you always, you don't need to add any psychological element. You don't need to add, fear and worry and concern. No, you just do your best and let God do the rest.
That's the piece I needed to hear. Yeah, thanks, Magdi. That's really pretty much it right there.
All right, Frank. Yes.
It's that kind of stuff. Okay, thanks. I'll be listening.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
I mute myself.
Any questions? Okay, well, if there are no questions, then thank you all. Lovely to be with you, Frank and Holger, Jeff, hi, John, Trish, hey, Mark, Chris, Alan, hello, Alan. Hi, Malcolm. Hello, Shai, Roya, hi, Roya.
Hi, thank you.
Hello, salut, Shiva, and my sweet Tara. Thank you all. I'm going to leave I'm going to stop the recording and leave the meeting on just in case.